Let's bring in former FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer now. Jennifer, thanks for being here as always. So you have said up until now you didn't think that Brian Laundrie was out in that reserve. They keep going back there. So what does the search today and the cadaver dogs tell you?
Well, I still remain skeptical that he is out there, but I do believe because the waters have receded and because they are conducting these very specific grid searches to make sure they search every portion of that reserve, that those waters receding have allowed these officers to go back in and continue to look in areas where he could have possibly been.
The biggest question I see from people on social media who are following this case closely over and over, like, what is it about this reserve? Are we missing something? Police and investigators have been really tight-lipped. Based on your experience behind the scenes, what could we be missing here that they may be going after?
Well, this is what I think we're missing. It's not known to the public corroborative information that the FBI, I believe, does have. Something like this in the phone that they recovered from his room when they did that search is on that phone, perhaps text messages where he discusses this hike or going on this hike. Possibly was there a witness that saw him enter that campground, or perhaps even a witness that took a camera photograph? And could that information probably led to their persistence at searching that reserve?
So it may not be only that his parents said that's where he was going, that's where we knew him to believe, we believe him to have been, right? That might not be the only reason they're out there.
That's correct. Right. I think if you look at what the public knows, which is the information from the parents, he left behind all information that could use to track him. If you look at the fact that the Mustang was left there and then picked back up days later, in other words, how was he supposed to leave the reserve if he was truly there? The late action on the missing person report from the parents, all that would lead the public and myself that he is not there. But I believe they have some evidence showing he is there.
So we're seeing them search. We saw the cadaver dogs come out today. The focus has been on the reserve. But what are the chances, the likelihood that the FBI is searching in places we have no idea that are not as visible?
Very likely. I think the FBI is following up on numerous leads as to where he could be. And I think they're out there working. It's just the media doesn't know where they're at, so it's not being covered.
The big question, you heard the local police say 50-50, they think he's dead or alive. You have said you believe he's alive. Do you still feel that way?
Absolutely.
Why?
I believe he's alive. I believe he's alive, again, because I don't think that attorney would be retained by somebody who isn't alive. Number one. Number two, when I watch those parents and look at their demeanor, they are not acting like grieved parents of somebody desperately concerned about the whereabouts of their son. And those two factors lead me to believe he is alive.
What is it about their behavior that stands out to you?
Couple of things. Most recently, the whole lawn mowing scene. While that should normally be benign, it wasn't benign. They had found out, just like the rest of the world, that Gabby Petito was strangled by hands, not by a ligature, but by somebody's hands. That should have been so disturbing that their daughter-in-law died this way. And for him to just go out and mow his lawn, I thought was terrible. Another sign that bothers me is all of those flowers that were left on the porch that I've seen when I've personally been out there. They're just left there to die and wilt. If that were me and that was a tribute or something left for my to-be daughter-in-law, I would take care of those flowers. I would plant them if they're plantable. If they weren't, I would bring them in. I would water them. I would care for them. And I just see no signs of any caring from this family.
Human behavior, an interesting thing. As always, Jennifer Coffindaffer, appreciate your insight on this one. Thank you.